Gimli was born in 2879 of the Third Age to Gloin under the parentage of Gloin in the House of Dúrin. He was one of the 9 members of the Fellowship and was the only dwarf. His father Gloin joined the Quest of Erebor with Thorin and Company sent by Daín. Gimli was 62 at the time. Gimli was named Elfriend due to his friendship with Legolas and reverence of the Lady Galadriel, where he would get a special gift. He was first seen in the Council of Elrond. Gimli was first seen standing next to his father. Aside from Gimli was Legolas, who was a messenger of Thranduil at the time, Boromir from the south, along with an elf, Galdor, who went from the Grey Havens to perform an errand for Círdan the shipwright, and several counselors of Elrond. Gimli would go on representing the other free peoples of the world, setting against the 9 riders that are evil. Legolas shall be of the elves, and Gimli son of Gloin for the dwarfs. They are willing to go at least to the passes of the mountains, and maybe beyond. For men you shall have Aragorn son of Arathorn, for the ring of Isildur concerns him closely. In the films, however, Gimli attempted to destroy the ring with an axe, but the ring remained as is. He would go along as one of the 9 walkers through the mines of Moria, where they would see Balin's tombstone along with a record of fortunes of Balin's folk. Gimli would also find treasures and things from his father's adventure with Thorin and Company. A large bold hand which seemed to be specifically for Elvish script, which Gimli recognized as Ori's hand, along with the flute leaves from the Book of Mazarbul. Gimli was tasked to keep this book and pass it on to Daín if he had the chance. The Fellowship would spot a Balrog, and Gimli would see Durin's bane. He would later find that Durin's bane was stirred up by the dwarves in Moria, awakening a Balrog. After the fall of Gandalf the Grey, the Fellowship got to Lothlorien. Gimli would spot Caladzaram, the spot where Durin first looked in the Mirror. He would become friends with Legolas. They would meet Galadriel and Celeborn. "And what gift would a dwarf ask of the elves?" said Galadriel, turning to Gimli. "None, lady," answered Gimli. "It is enough for me to have seen the Lady of the Galadriel and to have heard her gentle words." "Hear all ye elves," she cried to those about her. "Let none say again that dwarves are grasping and ungracious. Yet surely, Gimli, son of Gloin, you desire something I could give. Name it, I bid you." "You shall not be the only guest without a gift." "There is nothing, Lady Galadriel," said Gimli, bowing low and stammering. "Nothing, unless it might be, unless it is permitted to ask. Nay, to name a single strand of your hair, which surpasses the gold of the earth as the stars surpass the gems of the mine. I do not ask for such a gift, but you commanded me to name my desire." Celeborn would gaze at Gimli and wonder, while Galadriel would smile. Gimli would ask her for a lock of her hair. "It is said that the skill of the dwarfs is in their hands rather than in their tongues," she said. "Yet that is not true of Gimli, for none have ever made to me a request so bold, and yet so courteous. And how shall I refuse, since I commanded him to speak? But tell me, what would you do with such a gift?" She would give him 3 locks of her hair. Thus, Gimli would get 3 locks of hair from Galadriel after asking for 1. The friendship Gimli would share with Legolas is treasured by many, as they would build an alliance between the elves and the dwarves. Previously, the elves and the dwarves would have trouble seeing eye to eye, which was evident during the ruin of Doriath when the dwarves went there. Their skills were mainly concerning the work of metal, and they were much needed in Menegroth, where they went in great companies. The great craftsmen of Nogrod went to Doriath, planning to remake the Noglamir, where the Silmaril lay. This led to a feud between elves and dwarves, as their lust of the Silmarils became rage. Then the dwarves looked upon the work of their fathers, and they beheld with wonder the shining jewel of Fëanor, and they were filled with a great lust to possess them and carry them off to their far homes in the mountains. But they dissembled their mind and consented to the task. Thus, Legolas and Gimli would have a clash before Moria about why a friendship between the elves and dwarves waned. "I have heard both," said Gandalf, "and I will not give judgment now. But I beg you too, Legolas and Gimli, at least to be friends and to help me. I need you both." They would later share many moments together as Gimli would leave Parthgalen and join forces with Aragorn and Legolas after the death of Boromir and the Fellowship splitting in Amon Hen. They would try to follow Merry and Pippin and go to Isengard and southern Gondor, eventually going to Minas Tirith. After the fall of Sauron, Gimli would bring some of the dwarfs south from Erebor and become Lord of the Glittering Caves, while his friend Legolas would also bring elves south of Mirkwood into Ithilien. Gimli would forge gates of Mithril and steel in Minas Tirith in order to replace those broken by the Witch King of Angmar, along with the dwarves in Gondor and Rohan. After Aragorn died, Gimli would go along with Legolas over the sea to the Undying Lands, being the first and only dwarf to do so. We have heard tell that Legolas took Gimli, Glóin's son, with him because of their great friendship, greater than any that has been between elf and dwarf. If this is true, then it is strange indeed that a dwarf should be willing to leave Middle-earth with any love, or that the Eldar should receive him, or that the lords of the West should permit it. But it is said that Gimli went also out of desire to see again the beauty of Galadriel, and it may be that she, being mighty among the Eldar, obtained this grace for him. More cannot be said of this matter.